Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Live with Rye. I am so thrilled you are joining me again for part 2 of the Andrew Lloyd Webber birthday celebration. We have a great guest for you today. I'm super excited. Just want to thank you again for your continued love and support throughout my journey with Live with Rye and all that I do. I am so thankful for you. But before we begin, I do have a favor to ask of you. If you're joining on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss an episode of Live with Rye, and so you can see all of my other videos and content that I post as well. And if you're joining us on Facebook, hit that thumbs up or give me a heart so I know that you're watching, and like me on Facebook. I love hearing from you, and let's continue the conversation. So I'm on social media, and let's follow each other. I'm at Rye_Myers on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm official Rye Myers on Facebook. That's a new one. Again, official Rye Myers on Facebook. I'm still getting used to saying that. You'll also see my website scrolling across the bottom of the screen as well, RyeTheNewsGuy.com. Head on over there to rewatch all episodes of Live with Rye and to see all of my other exclusive content, including my production company, all the things I'm doing with my producing projects, and so much more. And finally, you'll also see scrolling across the bottom of the screen as well, RyeTheNewsGuy.com/donate. If you are so inclined, I would love if you'd consider donating to help support my site and my show. I love doing what I do, and I love bringing you positive, good, and inspiring interviews with some of the best names in entertainment, Broadway, and pop culture history. Pop culture industry. And I can't do it without you. So if you are so inclined, head to RyeTheNewsGuy.com/donate, or you can click the QR code right here and go there as well. But again, you'll see RyeTheNewsGuy.com across the bottom of your screen throughout the event, and you can head there to donate if you are so inclined. And with that, let's welcome our very special guest, Dara Adler. Hi, Dara.
Hi, Rye.
How are
excited
you?
to be here. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You are so welcome. Thank you for joining me for part 2 of our birthday celebration to Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Woohoo!
Fabulous Lord Lloyd Webber himself. Once again, I have my unmasked booked here from him from 3 years ago from his memoir. So happy birthday again, Andrew Lloyd Webber. So
Yes.
Dara, how are you? How have you been holding up during this pandemic and keeping busy but also sane as well?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. I have been doing like everybody else. We're pivoting. We're doing everything we can to keep ourselves on our toes. And so I've been teaching dance and fitness and still acting as much as I can, auditioning, and just keeping all the tools in shape as much as possible. And mostly just trying to keep good spirits at this time, right? Because it's been a roller coaster, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, it really has been, and good spirits is very important. On that dancing note, how has it, I mean, it's been difficult for all of us, but have you found teaching virtually for dance to be a little bit more challenging, or has there been some rewards with it that maybe you didn't get in person, or?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. I thought it was going to be much harder than it's been. At first, I was like, oh my God. And then when we went on to Zoom and did our virtual teaching, you're really able to see much more than you thought. So that was a real welcome relief. I'm very happy about that. And it's definitely been challenging. We don't have the space to really move and, express our bodies across the floor. But it is a nice time to hone in on what we can do, right? So just the smaller things or the things that we might need to refine, this is the time for it. We're all home. We have our floors. We have our spaces that our apartments or homes have turned into studios. And it's, dancers dance, right? We take the time, we do it no matter what. Whether it's a bar, whether it's stretching, we just keep it going. So yeah, it has been challenging. We don't have that same space, but we have our bodies always, wherever we're at. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's important. I love that. So what has it been like to be a part of the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway company? You've been with the company, I believe, since 2005. What has that been like?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It's been a lot. I'm not gonna,
Bet.
I've worn many hats for them. So when I first started, I started as a vacation swing, and then about a year later, I got that was for Broadway, and a year later, I went on the road with what was the Music Box Company at the time, which was the last national tour before this most recent one, this like newly revamped one that just closed but has
Yeah.
been out. So so I got my own spot on tour, and then started assistant dance captaining, and then dance captaining when the dance captain took a leave, and uh, sharing the role with others as well. So, and swinging. So really whatever they've needed me to do, I've been able to step into that and try to stay flexible. And I really believe it's actually extended the longevity of my career, because it wasn't, it was moving from one thing to the next thing, and your brain is always, working and learning and staying sharp. So that's what I did on the road. And then when I came back to New York, I did the same thing. Whatever they needed, I did not have a permanent spot. I would come in, and my permanent spot was coming in as often as I could
Right.
to cover for others, kind of as a vacation swing, dance captain, swing, whatever they needed. Or medical leave. So that's what I've been doing throughout all these years. And yeah.
That's special. Yeah. So is it sort of that you come in when you're needed, or did every night you show up at the theater and wait and to see what happens if you need to go on, or?
No, so that would be more of a standby kind of thing. And even standbys pretty much stay at home. In New York now, I come in when I'm needed. So if they call and someone's going on vacation, or if someone has a medical leave, or whatever in that capacity is what I've been doing back in New York. On the road, that was my spot, and I would, and then I kind of switched around in my spot while I was in there. But yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and as associate dance captain, what is your role in that? What does an associate dance captain do in a Broadway production?
Okay, so I was associate on the tour and a kind of assistant or dance captain back here in Broadway. And the reason why we did that is because we kind of split that responsibility a little bit more on tour. So I can speak to associate was more like we were co-dance captaining. Assistant, I was the assistant to the dance captain, and if I dance captain, I was teach. Either way, any of these helped to learn the show and teach the show to new cast members coming in. So we basically learn the entire show, teach new cast members their roles, their spacing, their obviously their dance, if they're the movement within the show, and also the motivation behind the movement. So we're not just, doing, we're really the reason for doing it. So,
wow.
Yeah. And keeping the integrity of it. So we always want to keep the integrity of the choreographer, Gillian Lynn's vision and work.
I love that. So before obviously Broadway shut down, when a new cast member would come in, you were in charge of or responsible of helping to get them sort of acclimated with new dancing and learning, and that's exciting.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like between the dance captain or assistant and the stage management together, we all bring them in, get them acclimated, show them their choreography behind the scenes as well. So what they're doing backstage, how to, what their backstage traffic is, what they're on stage, all of that. And it's nice because we're kind of easing them into it, helping them get comfortable. And if they're brand new to Broadway, there's that, that bright green excitement and or terror, depending on what it is. Because we teach very fast, it's really we try to get it done so they can get on stage. Because usually if someone's just coming to the show, they need to be in the show like now. So it's always the sooner the better.
Exactly. And how do you, when shows are going on and we have theater open, how do you stay sort of dedicated and focused in your role? Because you say you're not always there all the time. So how do you maintain as a performer to stay up to date with dance moves and what's going on? Is that sort of constant everyday sort of thing you have to train yourself to do, or are you able to switch on and off?
Yes and no. I can switch on and off. I mean, we do have to keep. I would always take class, go take dance class, do my own class, work with my own body, as well as going to Steps or Broadway Dance or all of our wonderful studios in New York City, which I miss, but that are coming back.
Oh, good.
So yeah, so always keeping the body in shape in that way, but then also other forms of exercise and cross training. I love to swim. I teach Pilates.
Wonderful.
And fitness. So everything that's cross training along with dance. And then as far as the choreography within the show, if there are little tweaks or things that happen or changes that happen when I'm not there, before I come back in, I'll meet with whoever's dance captain, which we have Polly there doing dance captain. So whoever's dance captain at the time, and they'll teach me what might be new, or I'll come in before if I might be filling in as a dance captain or something, and just to get that, or even a phone call. So it's really just whatever our communication is, that seems to work. I think because, once you're with the show for a long time and the general blueprint, unless there's like a big change, we're not really called in unless there's going to be a big change in the choreography. You might want to come in and learn this. If it's just little tweaky things, could be just a list that we go over and make sure everything is in sync.
Well, that's wonderful. And it's so nice that you sort of have that you've been there for so long, that they know you know how everything works. Like, that has to be special as a performer, to have a show, that is like that. Because a lot of times, performers are in shows for a while, but either they're in or they're out. So it's nice, I'm sure, for you to be able to have a connection with a show that is the longest running show on Broadway. And I'm sure they probably feel the same.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's nice to feel like you're reliable, to feel like that they feel that they can call you for that. And it's also nice to feel like your foot's still in the door, you're in your world.
Yes.
You get to perform with people that are uber talented, and share the stage with them, as well as give, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are new people every night. So we're giving something to them, sometimes not new people, sometimes what we call PHAN, the fans, right?
Yes,
as you know. So, the regulars that come and have seen the show, they know everything. They know, I've had people say, the curtain looks different this time around. I mean, they know every little slight change or nuance of the show because they're so dedicated to it. So, yeah.
Well, and that's what comes with a show that's been running almost 30 some years now on Broadway, the longest running show. I'm sure you have many, but what is a special memory that you have of being in the show that you can share? I mean, the fans, I'm sure that's something in itself that's special, but do you have, when you get to perform in it, do you have memories that you remember that while being in it?
I mean, I think I really can still remember like my very first time going into the show. When I auditioned, there were 3 dancers out. So similar to what I was saying, they needed someone like now. So I was originally called to come in to just learn the show. Can you just learn the show and be our vacation swing, but they needed bodies on stage. So as they were teaching it to me, it started being like, okay, well, this section, let's just put her on for Act 1 and Act 2 or whatever, Hannibal and Degas, whatever. I knew they started getting me into the show. And I think there was that feeling of spontaneity and excitement of just like, okay, let's do it, and just getting in and getting on. The theater for me is really, it feels like home. So when I walked into that show, it felt very comfortable. I felt like I knew the dancers from outside, just from seeing them in classes.
Mm-hmm.
I've been performing since I was 8. So a theater itself with a proscenium stage feels like a natural place for me to be.
Right.
So I think I remember that feeling. I remember getting the phone call and jumping up and down. I remember, going in and seeing the stage and getting to know everyone. I think those are the feelings that are really just warm and wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the joy of seeing people that I helped learn the show
Right.
get into their roles and perform, and their excitement about being in it and doing it and really being there, on Broadway,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That is so special. And
yeah.
what do you think makes Fandom so special that, people still are coming 30 plus years later to see it?
It's amazing, isn't it? I'm just always so amazed by that. I think it has several elements to it. It ultimately is a Beauty and the Beast story in a way, right? There's a love triangle. You have so the older man, younger woman, or the father figure. You have a disfigurement or something that feels that you're just not loved.
Right.
And you need to cover that up. I mean, that speaks to, I think, everybody at some point in their life, right? That feeling of wearing a mask and wanting to take that mask off. Or we have a lot of people who might have impairments, a hearing impairment, a sight, or just something that's going on in their own physical being, and they really relate to him. The music, I mean, come on, everyone, the music, I think, really affects people a lot. We have people who would come and just sit in the front row and close their eyes and just listen to the music and let their body absorb it. I think I told you when we spoke at Broadway Plus, one of the last things, since one of my most recent visit there, I was swinging and I wasn't on one night, and I asked Kristen Blodgett if I could sit in the pit, which normally they'll do for new actors that come in who are principal roles, and they'll go and they'll sit in the pit and they'll listen to the music. And I had never done that before. And I just burst into tears the minute the big, boom started happening. And I felt like I was almost like in an aquarium. The violins, were going, and the horns were going, and everything was just their own school of fish swimming around. And so for me, the music was it was a whole different experience than hearing it from being on stage. So I think a lot of people relate to the music, but sorry, I'm going off.
No, it's okay.
I think it's the love story, the threesome there. it's the father-daughter figure. It's the physical aspect of it. I think it just has so many layers that so many different types of people can relate.
Yeah, I totally agree. And especially on the music aspect of it. I mean, you just sitting there saying that gives me the goosebumps thinking that.
Yes,
for those who don't know, I mean, Fandom is one of the few shows left that on Broadway that has a full orchestra, and you can definitely hear that, and you definitely know that when you hear the music. And I mean, to be in the audience and listen to it is one thing. I can only imagine, as you said, sitting in that pit and just observing. Right before actually the shutdown, I'd say I guess 2 or 3 weeks before, I actually went and saw Fandom in full here on Broadway. I had seen the show on tour, the recent national tour, twice. And then when I moved to the city, I was doing a variety of odd jobs while interning. And one of them was actually selling water, wine, and candy with the company that does the vendors out of Schubert organizations. And I was placed at Fandom a lot, which was great. And, I'd get to see it here and there. And for the first time, I bought a ticket and sat down and watched it all the way through. And of course I knew the story and had seen it, but there was something so special about watching it full through. And I said earlier today when I spoke with Megan Paterno, I said, for a while it was like, it's Fandom. I'll go see it. And I'm glad I got the ticket when I did. And nowadays, especially today, and I think going forward, once live theater resumes, and we can all relate to it, I'll never take that for granted again to, to say like, oh, it'll be there next week. Like I'll just, I'm going to go see another show tonight. And I'm glad that I got to see it when I did, just to be able to, observe the magic that is Fandom and see it and hear it. And I got to see it in the orchestra. I was able to rush it, and it was just, it was beautiful. And it's magical to see the expressions of people, a lot who were foreign, you could tell had never seen the show before, and just to see their expression, and people who were from other parts of the country. It was magical.
I love that. I love that. And I remember I used to do that too. I would sometimes go out into the audience and, to watch obviously what was happening on stage, but I would sometimes stop and just look at the audience members, or I'd go back into the lighting booth and then just like look around and just see what people's faces were doing and how they lit up, when the chandelier was falling down, or got scared when something happened. It's just, it's thrilling. It's almost like a roller coaster ride. You're just like, woo, yeah. All these wonderful things. So that's so true, Ryan. I love that. Yeah. That's so beautiful.
It is. It really is. Well, with today being Andrew Lloyd Webber's birthday, what is a special memory that you have with him, or of him, in your time of being a part of the show?
Yes. Well, there were two. I believe I met him twice, because I know I spoke to him once really briefly. The other time, and they were either anniversaries or closings. And the other time, I think this was the closing of the show. I was thinking today, I'm like, when did this happen? It was either the 15th anniversary or the closing. Mm-hmm. And I think it might have been the closing, because I think it was in LA when this happened that we were closing, and Andrew ended up showing up with Sarah Brightman, and we were like ecstatic because we didn't know. We had no idea. And I don't know that he did either, because I said, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much this means to this company that you're here. And I just happened to be in the area. Sarah and I were here staying at a hotel. We just happened to both be here. And we thought we'd go get a drink and come on over. So I was like, should we go? So we went. And so it just made me laugh. And there was something so joyous and playful about it. And we were so grateful that they showed up, in their jeans, or she was, in her outfit. And
right.
Just to say hi and wish us well. And
wow,
and at the beginning of this pandemic, I don't know if you saw all those videos that he was doing. He was so dedicated to really seeing theater come back.
Yes.
And even doing TikToks with, people would sing, he would play and people would sing. And
the duets,
he's just so dedicated to theater, and it's just so beautiful to see that. I'm grateful to him, for this long running show that's kept us all involved and employed and learning, not just as performers, but as people, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is so special. And I just, what a special, what a special experience, and to have Sarah Brightman there and everything.
Yes. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. And obviously they've been around for anniversaries on Broadway, but on the road, it was just very special for that particular group, because, they rarely would come out, and so when they were there, when someone from that echelon of the show would come out, it was a very special thing. So I certainly loved it, because I would always just like absorb anything anybody had to even say, in a rehearsal. Like, tell me. So
of course, I mean, he's a powerful person and presence to be around. I mean, you mentioned about he has been really the driving force in the UK, especially wanting to bring live theater back, getting it back. Being sort of the pioneer of, we have to bring it back and safely. And he's done all the videos and has released an album. So he has done beautiful things for this theater world. And I never got the chance to meet him, but I got to be in the same room with him a few years ago. Speaking of the book, he had come to the Town Hall here in New York City, which is, for those who don't know, it's a theater that hosts a lot of special events. And he was in performance it was moderated by Glenn Close. And just to be like 100 feet from him and just hear him talk, I'll never forget that moment. And he is a special person. And he's, for me, the reason I have to thank why I think I love theater and this industry, because my very first show that I ever got introduced to when I was younger was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor. First show I ever saw in kindergarten or first grade, and it made me fall in love with theater and music, and sort of all was downhill from there.
No. But look at what it's, the platform that you have right now too. I mean, you know so much about it. It's so wonderful and
beautiful.
So good. It's amazing the first things we remember, right? That first switch that made us say, I love that. I want to do that, or I want to. Just talking about it, it's with you. I'm feeling those feelings like, gosh, yes. And we have to, I think that's one of with Fandom, one of the biggest challenges has always been for everybody to keep that excitement going, because it's a long running show. Right. I know I'm segueing into another thing here, but that just really made me to think about how a lot of shows, they kind of have a bit of a shelf life. The long running show is over the past decade or so has been a newer concept.
Right.
Phantom, Chicago, all the Disney shows. But that's the biggest challenge, has been how to keep that fresh and new and exciting. I think for me, that's why being a swing and dance has always been a really productive thing for me. Although, every swing will tell you, I wish I just had my own track. I just wish but there's beauty in both. There really is. And I do feel like that it just keeps the mind working. But for anybody in a show like that, I just, if anyone's listening, it's really about keeping it fresh for you so that it doesn't get on automatic. When we start going on automatic, it's almost like when you mess up or you forget something, like, whoa, what just happened to me? So it's always staying present in the moment, and trying to find ways to make it fresh and new. Sometimes I would sit, this is maybe extreme, I don't know, but sometimes I would sit and write little stories about my character, so I had something, and then try to forget about it, but then just had something new for the month or week to play with,
No, I love that. I know that's a lot of performers, will do that with their characters, or a lot of directors tell, performers to do that with their characters. So I think that's special. We were talking about this, our memories with Andrew. This also made me, I forgot to mention this. When I was younger, I used to send away for autographs. I used to write to celebrities and people. And Andrew Lloyd Webber was one of them. And when I was much younger, and I wrote off, was I asked for a signed photo, and I explained my love for theater, and instead of just sending back, like, unfortunately, like, he doesn't. It was a beautiful letter that, unfortunately, he only signs for charities, but we wish you the best.
Right.
Actually, they sent me a Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat shirt that was like, and it was from the UK version. And it was like, Mr. Lloyd Webber wants you to have this in compliments of him. Like, we're so sorry. And I was like, and I actually had emailed back, and they were nice, because I was like, any chance I'm happy to pay postage, but any chance I could get a larger size? You sent me a small one. And they sent me a better size, but I was blown away at the kindness and they could have just replied with a letter, and I got this beautiful package from Really Useful Group, and it was something that I always will hold so dear to my heart.
Well, that's smart. It's only going to benefit. We want to get more theater goers and introduce younger people to theater, right? So when these gestures that might seem not so big to someone else but are huge, it's bringing in another performer or another audience member, whether they're a performer or someone who's just going to view it but still benefit, because you need both really to have the experience, right? That there's a back and forth that happens in live theater that's just so juicy and good. Your audience is really letting you know where you're at, it's that call and response kind of thing. So you can feel it whether there's no response. You can feel it when there is a response, and positive or negative, whatever it is. So
exactly.
So something like that is just beautiful, because to really touch someone it means a lot, it means a lot. We used to, even just giving backstage tours, I remember feeling like I loved doing that. I love showing people just the backstage and what that experience is. And they would always feel so like, it looks so different from out front, and then be on stage and be like, what? This is how it happens. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Always so special. What had it been like to work with Hal Prince? I mean, and since being there in 2005, I'm sure you had an opportunity to work with him or see him or talk with him in some sort. Did he give you advice that you've sort of taken with you as a performer? What was that like to work and be a part of the show with him?
So I never, he really came in and would work with the company as a whole, and then would work with the principals. And we were always around to listen to those company notes. And then if I was in as a dance captain, I would be in the rehearsal and kind of just, in the back, letting him run the show, with whoever was there with him, and just absorbing like a sponge. I was so obsessed when Hal would come and run a rehearsal because he did it with so much respect. And I would listen like a little kid wanting to know, hanging on every word, because he was so, he knew the psychology of a character. And what I observed, now, look, everyone could have their own experience, but for me, the experience was, I loved how he knew the psychology of a character, what they would do without showing the actor what to do. So he never did a line reading. He never said, do it like this. And then in general, to the actor or to the company in general, he would say, look, this is the story. Mm-hmm. This is what's going on. This is what this means. This is what it needs to be. I trust you. Do it. I trust you do. And so he didn't really do it like that, but that's just the way I wanted it. But it was like, this is it. I know you know how to get there. And that's what needs to be done. Do it. He wasn't demeaning about it. He was just very matter of fact. And I felt like you'd always leave feeling like he trusts me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what needs to be done because that's what he asked for. And he was so clear and concise about it. And everything was always swell. He's like, that's swell.
Yeah. I read. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, there is I don't remember if it's Ovation, it might be Ovation or Encores. Mm-hmm. You might be able to see on one of those channels or look up. He does, I have it somewhere too. Him giving notes to the company.
Wow.
And so I'm sitting there like, big wide eyes, like, oh my God. But I think we're downstairs at the Majestic. So you see him, sitting in a chair, and we're all sitting around and talking. He's talking to us about it and taking it in. And, there's like little things that were just so exciting. Like if you just did one thing that made him laugh and he just said, that person who did that, I think there was one time, there's one of the dancers that does something. He's like, that was good. They liked it. You always got that little, that made my tummy warm.
Right.
So yeah. It's always that pleasing thing that performers have, you love. But sorry, go ahead. Go. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I read his book this summer, Sensification, and just to read it and learn obviously more about him, but just to read about his career. And obviously he was taken from us way too soon. And I just wish that so many people who I know who have worked with him or who knew him or were friends with him, just what a incredible character he was and what an impact he left on this industry,
I agree. I mean, I would have loved to have done much more with him, I'm just happy to have been in the room. Sometimes you're just like, I'm just so glad I was invited. Exactly. I just really am.
Exactly. So, happy to be in the room where it happens.
Yeah. So true.
What are some fun backstage memories that you have in your time with Fandom? Whether it's everyone always loves a blooper, or whether it's a fun little story that maybe happens. Maybe there's like a fun little pack that you guys have. Do you have any specific?
Oh, I mean, there are so, I've been there for so long. I'm sure there are like a million. different for different places. On the road, you have a whole different type of a backstage. There's so many beautiful relationships you make with not just your fellow performers, but the different departments, hair and makeup and crew. So, so on the road, we had that whole thing. And on Broadway, I can't think of anything that was like really specifically, oh my God, remember when that happened for me. But I did love this, something that the girls started doing more recently was, it's going to sound so silly because you kind of really just had to be there. But the way when it's someone's birthday and how we celebrate birthdays, really just not even just in each dressing room, but in general. One of my favorite things is at the end of the show when everybody hums during our bows. If it's someone's birthday, we hum happy birthday on stage. So I don't know if you've ever been in the audience when that's happened. I don't even know how much the audience can really hear because they're all applauding. But the first time that happened, I felt like there was a wave of I was like, what's happening right now? And they're just all humming. So they do that for everybody's birthday.
Wow.
And the girls in our dressing room now currently have this new thing that they do with their costumes, and we wear them on the head and we look like little 20s performers and we make up songs for everyone's birthday. So I have to look up what our little Instagram handle is for that. They made up, but wow. we'll make up a song for each person's birthday, and if they're away at the time, we'll text and send it to them, or it's just a lovely little way to feel like you're doing something with people you enjoy being with, and you're celebrated as well as celebrating. So that's a really lovely backstage thing. And then I think everybody backstage has their little rituals, too. So the places where they'll go hang out with during a specific time of the show when they're not on stage, or the group that they'll be sitting with, their little things that they create together. I just kind of was always just loved, being there, listening to everybody. Sometimes I would sit in the room with them and we'd laugh and joke around. Sometimes I'd go backstage and watch the show. Sometimes I would meditate. Everybody kind of has their own little ritual, during the show.
Of course.
But I can't, I'm so sorry. I can't think of like a major balloon
those were
for you.
great.
Like, I wish I had something like really juicy that I can think of. We always had like some kind of electronic thing that might happen where something went out, like the gate wouldn't go up, and the portcullis wouldn't go up, and the Raul had to pretend that he was like his feet were stuck to the floor, and so everyone would have these little backup things that they would have to do.
Right.
If this went wrong, do this, things like that. But yeah, that's what I got.
No, that's very exciting. That's really cool to know, and really special, especially the stuff with the birthdays and the little things you do backstage. I mean, how cool. What have you learned about yourself as a performer while in Phantom? What have you learned in this time as a performer?
Flexibility. I learned a lot about being flexible. And then both being in management and a performer, kind of to balance those two sides, and knowing sometimes it's really just, it's never, I got to think of how to say this the right way. I think it's just finding that middle balance. Management really has their final say on how things are, but it's knowing that just go in, teach, dance, work, and then trying to just keep the morale and integrity up. So that was something. But as a performer myself, I think it's mostly flexibility, longevity, and always trying to figure out how to keep growing, doing the same thing, always trying to keep that growth happening. And I feel like there's something else I want to say too, and I'm just not finding the words. So as we go, I'll see if they kind of fall in.
As we finish here, what advice would you give to aspiring performers, aspiring dancers who want to do this professionally and hope to one day end up on Broadway?
I would say keep practicing everything, every type of dance, your voice, your acting, just keep fine-tuning everything. This is something that I'm always working on constantly, is really just staying with your heart and not your head. That's probably one of the main things I'm learning about performing in general. Try to just always stick with your heart and get out of the head. We want to use, obviously, your head to be smart and know where you are and in space and learn. But we love being performers because of how it feels and because of what we uniquely bring to the table. And it's not personal. So if you're doing auditions, it's not personal. It's just what's needed at the time. So yay, you auditioned. It was great. Maybe you get it, maybe you won't, but you showed up. And I'm like talking to myself while I'm saying this right now, but you showed up. You showed up, you were there, and you're on to the next. And you're on to the next, and you're on to the next. And maybe you made a relationship in that room. Maybe you showed a casting director what you are right for. So it's keeping on going and keeping on growing. Keep on going, keep on growing.
I love that.
So.
Keep on growing. That is great. So where can we keep up with you and follow along with you in the meanwhile on social media, websites? Where can we keep up with you?
Yeah, sure. So just on Facebook, it's Dara Adler. You can find me there. And on Instagram, it's at Dara Adler. I also have a page, Move with Dara Adler, on Facebook, which I might be switching around. So just go to Dara Adler first, and then we can go over. And Twitter, same thing. I think it's either at Dara Adler, at Adler Dara.
Yes, I think that's Adler Dara.
Adler Dara on that one. I just was different.
No.
So yeah, I'm pretty much on everything except for TikTok. I haven't gone on there yet. But yeah, find me, talk to me, whatever you want. DaraAdler.com exactly is my my website, and for dance as well as DaraMoves.com. So any of those, you'll find me. You can reach me, and I'm so grateful to be here with you.
Amazing. Well, before we go, as a reminder, everyone, for those watching, if you love what you see here, would love, again, if you'd consider supporting the show and donating. You can go to ridethenewsguy.com/donate. If you're watching on a computer screen, you can click the QR code and help support the show and my platform. Would mean so much to me. Even just your kind words mean more than you know. So thank you for your love and support. Dara, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today, for sharing your stories, your career, everything. I cannot wait to see the show again, and I hope I get the chance to see it with you in it. Specifically, I look forward to that.
That's so sweet. Thank you, Rai. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you.